Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast. Hun? Hello?
What?
I'm trying to record my podcast. Can you wait a second?
Your podcast. Come on, Jay. Who cares about your podcast?
Is that true? Does no one care? It's week 9 of the NFL. Hello? Anyone? Here we go.
That's how we start! Yeah, baby!
32 SuperFans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One PodVader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This
No question about it.
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to the Kenny Loggins edition of the Next Fan Up podcast. Kenny Loggins, why? Because Kenny Loggins had a wonderful theme song for a great movie. A movie of a man who fought for his son by arm wrestling. Meet me halfway across the sky.
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, let's never do that again.
Yes. Over the Top. What a great movie.
Oh,
Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, no.
If his hat was forwards, he was horrible. But as soon as he turned that hat backwards, it was down to business.
Why don't you just bring up Real Steel while you're at it?
No, I won't do that. I'm PodVader, everybody. I'm PodVader, everybody. That's James, our Eagles superfan. Once again, is just the two of us. But we can make it if we try.
Hey.
The other superfans, apparently, when we record a little bit earlier, are available. It's really weird. But I also know that apparently across the pond, they've already turned their clocks back. So they're 6 hours ahead of us now.
Only till Sunday.
Only until Sunday. And then we'll rejoin them as we turn the clocks back. But a couple of big games this week for sure, James. Looking forward to that. What do you got in plan here for the midway point of the season? This is literally the middle week of the season.
We know who the best teams are. We know who the worst teams are. I'm more concerned with those teams hovering between 3-4 and 4-3, or anywhere in between. That's pretty much where things get muddled. We have teams playing above the potential and teams playing below the potential. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll figure out what's what, because now we know what every single team is supposed to be, supposedly.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is one of those stats that I wish Neil was here for, because since 1990, when the current 12-team playoff format was adopted, 97%, 64 of 66 of teams to start 7-1 or better advanced to the postseason. Conversely, since 2000, that would be 10 years earlier or later from 1990, since 2000, 50 teams have advanced to the postseason with a 500 or below winning percentage through their first 8 games. Last season, 5 teams pulled off the feat. Baltimore was 500. Dallas was 3-5. Indianapolis was 3-5. Philadelphia was 500, and Seattle was 500.
Yeah. And Philly is back at 500 again. Shocker.
So I guess what we're saying is congratulations to New England, San Francisco, Green Bay, and New Orleans. You've made the playoffs. And for all those other teams, you're not out of it yet. There's still 5 spots remaining. Well, technically 6.
There are always 5 spots available in the AFC. Only one is really claimed.
Wait, I did my math wrong there. There's more than 6 spots. Well, whatever. Who cares? The point was there's
12 total for the league, 6 in each conference.
4 teams are going to do nothing this week. They're going to stay at home, have a little vacation. That would be Atlanta, Cincinnati, the LA Rams, and the Saints. As we jump into the Pigskin Pick'em, last week, James, may have been the easiest week in picking football games in the history of the game, in the 100-year history of the NFL. I don't think there's been an easier week.
Last week.
The worst score in our Pigskin Pick'em group was 11 correct. That's 11 out of 15 games So you missed only 4 games. That's pretty good. I got 13 straight up. There were 5 in our group that got only 1 game wrong with 14 correct. However, Sybil Faulty, and we're going to need Neil to return to the podcast to tell us all about Faulty Towers, but Sybil Faulty got all 15 picks correct last week. So, Sybil, if you want to join us, all you need to do is email nextfanup@gmail.com, and there's a spot for you on this podcast next week for sure. By the way, another interesting point for Sybil Faulty, also one of 3 in our eliminator group that is still perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good 8 weeks into the season, considering if you didn't stream Miami early, you took some risk.
Also true. You might be taking some risk still streaming Miami, but we'll talk about that when we get to the Miami game.
Monday night was dicey, Jay.
Against the spread now, that's where I'm still running into problems. I only got a mere 6 correct. To highlight my difficulties with the point spreads, though, in total, 66.1% of games, that's 80 of the 121 that have been played, have been within 1 score in the 4th quarter. Games have been close this year.
Yeah, not many blowouts this season. I'm shocked.
It's been an interesting season. And so that brings us to Thursday Night Football, where the undefeated San Francisco 49ers, who are still only 4th in our power rankings, will go to Arizona to face the Arizona Cardinals, who are 3-4-1. They fall to 24th in the power rankings. Niners are favored by 10 in this game, which is odd considering the Cardinals have won the past 8 times versus San Francisco. That's a division rival that they've won 4 years straight. They've swept the 49ers.
Yeah, Jay, but as a wise person once said, that was then, this is now. And as someone else said, this is why they play the games.
San Francisco this year has only allowed an average of 224.4 net yards of offense per game through week 8. That's the fewest net yards of offense allowed at this point in a season since 1991. I'm going to take the Niners. I'm not going to be foolish enough to lock them in like you are, based on the fact that the Cardinals have won 4 straight years against the 49ers. But I'm going to take the Niners. I'm going to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, look, the way the Niners are playing defense, and we questioned last week would the Panthers be a legitimate test, and we thought they would, even with Kyle Allen playing, and they made Kyle Allen look like, I don't know, Nathan Peterman. I mean, they pretty much, befuddled him beyond imagination. They shut down any and everything that offense tries to do outside of Christian McCaffrey. And pick a running back for Frisco, because almost anybody who's carried the rock for Frisco this year in that backfield has gone off for over 150 yards in a game at least once. And this past week, it just happened to be Tevin Coleman. Apologies to Falcons fans. The Niners are rolling. They're playing old schools. Well, I shouldn't say old school, but it's a bygone era from the 80s of running the football and playing defense.
It's an interesting combination.
It used to work back in the day.
Yes, it did. Let's get to the injury report. And before we dive in, you may have noticed I sound a little bit different.
You sound under the weather.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my father for bringing the silent killer into my house. That was a lovely little gift, the gift that keeps on giving, that I'd like to give back. That'd be nice. No. And I thought, that sort of stuff goes north to south, not south to north. I don't understand how that happened. And he's staring at me from the doorway, going, how dare you?
Yeah, hey, parents, they're all like that. You should know this by now.
I know. All right, well, who's on the injury report? Is there any silent killer for the Niners and Cardinals?
Not for the Niners. Big names on the injury report for them this week. Levine Tololo has that inner thigh issue going on. Raheem Morstadt is nursing a knee. Matt Breida is nursing an ankle injury. Joe Staley is questionable. D Ford has quadriceps. McGlinchey and Juszczyk are still out. For the Cardinals, we have Darrell Daniels with an ankle, Trent Sherfield with a knee, David Johnson with an ankle, hence why they traded for a running back, Hassan Reddick with a knee, Charles Clay nursing his back, and Chase Edmonds has a hamstring injury. He's doubtful.
Yeah, I guess we should say Kenyon Drake was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. Is it that much of an upgrade to go from the Dolphins to the Cardinals?
Yes, it is. At this point, considering we all know the Dolphins are in some way, shape, or form trying to lose every single game. But, I think we all knew that Kenyon Drake was probably going to be the next Dolphin shipped out. It was just a matter of where, and the Cardinals presented the best opportunity considering injuries to both Johnson and Edmonds. These are not things that they're going to easily come back from, ankle and hamstring respectively, and having, being the fan of a squad that typically has hamstring injuries at various skill positions. Hamstrings are always a week to week. It's how you feel. And even when you're feeling great, you're still not good enough to go.
Well, and the only other thing would be you got to assume that while they are difficult to predict when they'll come back, both those running backs will be back before the end of the season. So Kenyon Drake will be right back to where he was with the Dolphins in a non-starter role.
Well, I think that they were burying Kenyon Drake to save him to do something just like this. I don't think it had anything to do with his production or being outperformed in camp or anything. He was clearly the best back coming out of camp. He did play the first couple of weeks, and then when things went south faster than they anticipated, they pretty much were like, well, let's just give some of these other guys a chance, much as what you'll see for some other teams as well, albeit questionable decisions.
All right, let's head to the Sunday games. And we have football in the morning. Granted, it'll be an hour later because we are falling back, which is rather nice. So I know the West Coasters probably won't enjoy having 5:30 a.m. football, but we'll enjoy having 9:30 a.m. football on the East Coast.
Yeah, you'll enjoy that. I'll still be snoring.
The Houston Texans are 5-3. They face the Jacksonville Jaguars 4-4. Of course, the Texans will face the Jaguars without J.J. Watt with the torn pectoral muscle. That's a shame. Right before you get a trip to London, you're not going to. That's got to suck. Anyway, Texans are ranked 9th in our power rankings. The Jaguars 17. The spread on this is 2. The Texans favored by 2 points. They have won the past 3, including dodging the Minshew magic 13-12 in week 2. Since their week 2 meeting, Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is tied for the NFL lead with 13 touchdown passes and ranks 3rd in passing yards with 1,804. We are both going with Houston in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just hope Deshaun Watson's eye gets a lot better real fast, because the game winner he threw this past Sunday was unfortunately not without injury. If you've seen his eye since then, it does not look pretty at all, and I just hope the swelling goes down. Yeah,
it's weird how much it's swolled up, though, isn't it? That's
typically how they happen.
Unusual.
The initial impact is like, ow, that hurt, and this is painful as hell, and it doesn't look bad in the onset, but you give it 30 minutes plus, and you look like you have a golf ball where your eye should be.
It's very odd. By the way, speaking of golf balls, I'm sure there's swelling that happens on overseas flights. Paul from New Zealand wrote in to let you know, James, that you can currently fly directly from LA to London on Air New Zealand. Service will be stopping in October of next year, but the Rams could have flown directly from LA to London Heathrow.
Oh, okay.
Not that makes it any better.
Good to know. Yeah.
Again, though, not that it makes it any better.
It doesn't.
I'd still rather take the flight from Atlanta to Heathrow than from LA to Heathrow.
Or New York, or any other East Coast city.
Yes, exactly.
Not straight from LA. Too much time in the air.
Besides J.J. Watt, is Deshaun Watson on the injury report with the eye?
No, he is not listed on the injury report. However, one of his favorite targets, Will Fuller, is doubtful to play, specifically unknown why at this point. Laramie Tunsil is questionable, along with Ira